To order. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Yes, Jim Schrader.
Here.
James Hartman. Here. Tom Turk.
Yep.
Jeff Benzell. Yeah. Kim Sears-Hacker. Oh, there she is.
Kim, are you here?
As I'm walking.
Okay, she's here.
All right, Isaiah Crowe.
Here.
And
Straight
our
shot.
All right, I have proof of posting. Will you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? It's actually back in the corner. Dale, you should have had that out here for us, bud. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know the principal at Black Earth had one right there for us. Okay, before we move approval of the agenda, I would like to move item E, 2 and 3 up to behind between A and B.
You just want to move move all of these? And that's
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
All three.
Yeah, move E up to make that B.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from March 9th?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any corrections? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Yeah. Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. In the interest of time, I will defer to Mark.
And I'm good also.
Okay?
Yep.
Facilities and transportation meeting from earlier. We had HSR in to talk about some of the projects that we were looking at. They're here to present, that's why we moved up item E. And so you'll learn more about it at that point. Public input, anybody, nothing? FFA presentation, Caitlin Owens.
I'm gonna use the smart board, so if you want to like turn around or whatever. We're gonna be real close, but we're gonna make this work.
You're such a good mic guy.
You may want to see these, you may want to step in front of your computer.
Oh, okay.
Just give it a little.
It's working.
So I just wanted to kind of update you guys on what I'm doing. I graduated last year. My name is Caitlin, and this year I've had the awesome opportunity to serve as a state FFA officer. So we have an FFA chapter here, and we have officer chapters here. But now I'm on the next level. I'm on the state level, so I represent a big part of Wisconsin. So this is my team, and after graduation last June, the day after actually, I went to Madison, and I was a part of 4 interviews. I had a written test and I had a writing document that I had to fill out, and then I made it to the delegate round, so those are the people that vote for who they want to represent us. And I gave like 5 or 6 like miniature 2-minute speeches to them to like kind of go against my opponent to see who they wanted to represent them this year. And I was elected, so I represent Section 5. So I'm the Dane, Greene, and Rock counties of Wisconsin, so this little area of Wisconsin I represent. And I have 9 other teammates that represent their own sections in the state. And then our president, Allison, was elected from last year's team. So there's 11 of us total. And we pretty much help out with all of our conferences and our state level activities for the FFA, and we even do some national events too. So that's kind of why I'm here, just to update you in what I've been doing. So we were all elected in June, and we get to tap the big gavel to end state convention. And we have a couple thousand people at state convention, and we're already starting our preparation for this next year in anticipation of all those people. And I was home for about 3 days after I was elected for my graduation party and to finish out the soccer season. And then we started our training. So in June, we went to the Ag Teachers Conference. We went to what we call blast-off training. So that's where we really jump in, get to know our teammates, and learn how to present and talk in front of people and starting to build our workshops. Then we had the opportunity to head to Illinois, and we trained with Missouri state officers, Illinois state officers, and Indiana state officers. So we got to meet a lot of people there. And then we had a couple weeks off in the summer to just chill and let all of that information sink in, because we were pretty much on information overload with all the things we'd be doing this year, our etiquette, things that we're going to be planning, and who's signing up for this, who's going to do this, and it was just like, whoa, what is going on? But it's been an awesome experience. And then I got the opportunity to head out to Virginia Tech, and I went to a conference called NICE, and it's a cooperatives conference. So when we were out there, we did a simulation of a cooperative, and we wrote case studies and learned about how those different things work. And we got to meet people from all over the place. And we went to a natural bridge while we were out there and a creamery, which was really different because being from Wisconsin, we're like, oh, milk, ice cream, we know what's going on here. And we tried this ice cream, and they were like, this is the best ice cream I've ever had from all the other states. And we were like, what? What are you guys talking about? It had a really high butter fat, so it was really, really creamy. And it kind of tasted like you were eating butter, and everybody else was loving it because it was so creamy. But being from Wisconsin, we're like, whoa, this is way too creamy. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but it was really fun, and I learned a lot because I've never worked with cooperative or anything like that, so now I kind of know how that works. And then we were at all 11 days of State Fair, and my favorite part was running the veggie races. So it's a big ramp, and then we literally put bolts and little wheels through vegetables. This was my corn car that I made. And then the small children would come and pick them out, and we talked to them about vegetables and why they're healthy and where they grow and different things like that. And then we would race them. So you put them at the top of the ramp, and they would count it down, and then you'd lift it up, and they'd all race down the bottom. And wheels would fly off every once in a while and stuff like that. But it was really fun, and you don't really think about making cars out of vegetables, so it was just kind of relating agriculture to making it fun for little kids to learn about. So that was really cool. Then we went to Farm Tech Days. It's kind of the big get-together for all of the agricultural businesses and industry leaders of Wisconsin. And this year we were in Portage County, and we were at a vegetable farm and a dairy farm. And my teammates and I were in charge of giving the tours at the dairy farm. So we were given a script when we got there the day before it started. And they took us around the farm and told us what we were going to be talking about. And then they threw us on the trolleys, and there we were. We were presenting to people from all over the state who were interested in this farm and what they were doing. So that was really cool. And very nerve-wracking, because it's one thing to present to people your age, your own age and younger than you, but to present to people that are older than me, it's really intimidating. So that was definitely kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone and stuff like that. But that's pretty much how we ended our summer. That got us into August. And then we started our sectional leadership workshops. So over the course of the year, we run 3 different conferences, all on the state officers. So we plan our own workshops, we make up the schedule, we send out all the registration and get everything ready, and then we present it to our students. So sectional leadership workshop, we actually hosted one at Heights. So for your section, you hosted at your own school. So we had probably 200 students that came in September to attend our conference. And this is Wisconsin Heights chapter and my teammates, because they were all there, and we had a great turnout, and it was really awesome to have all of my teammates here. But I got to travel all over the state during that time, and we do business and industry visits during the day before the conference, and then at night we put on this workshop. So we visited pizza crust factories, cheese factories, we visited a winery, we did, what else did we do? Cranberry marshes, all sorts of different things that Wisconsin grows, and you got to learn and meet a lot of people, and it was pretty impressive to see the different things that our agriculture industry is doing and the different advancements that they're working on. And then in Madison, we had our fire conference, so these are Heights students again. So we had a bunch of people. This is our conference, like trying to get our members started. So it's for 8th graders, 7th graders, and freshmen. It's kind of like their first FFA event that they get to go to, and they get to learn about different opportunities and different things that they can start budding into their leadership roles and different things that they can do. So that was pretty much the fall, and there's more, don't worry. In between all this craziness, we do chapter visits. So we visit each school that has an agricultural program in my section. So these are all of the schools that I had the chance to visit. And this is really our chance to meet the students that we'll be working with for the whole year and trying to get new students involved. So basically we go and we hang out at the school for the whole day and present to each class and do activities related to leadership, different FFA opportunities and stuff like that. My favorite one is these puzzle ones. So you'd have people who were blindfolded and then they had to put a puzzle together while someone else told them how to do it. So only the blindfolded person could touch the puzzle, and then the people around them were talking to them and telling them how to put the pieces together. And it's kind of like a communication skill builder and also teamwork, because you kind of have to work together and make sure that your communication is really clear, otherwise you're never going to get that puzzle together. So that was one of my favorites. And this one, we're doing good messages to each other. So each of them had a piece of paper taped onto each other's back. That's an officer team from a chapter. And they had to write nice things about each other so that they could look at it whenever they're having like a rough day or whatever, to know that their teammates are still there for them and that just to pump them up a little bit. So we do a lot of work with students of their building their leadership and like making them realize like you are a leader, you know what you're doing. Just remember that every day. So, does anyone have any questions at this point? No? Okay. And we're still busy. So we went to National Convention. Our convention had over 60,000 people there. It's one of the largest conventions in the world. And we are, I'm pretty sure we are the largest student organization in the world, so it was pretty cool to be a part of that. And we were all serving as delegates as state officers, so we got to help vote for the different items of business that our organization is trying to change, and approving different ways of voting, and what else did we talk about this year? I was on a committee for, I'm sorry, I'm thinking. Anyway, I can't remember what I was on the committee for right now. It was one of the smaller items of business, but we tried to make a plan for, oh yeah, it was middle school membership and who's considered a middle schooler and how can they be involved and stuff like that. So we're trying to make a standard at the national level so that everybody knows what a middle school member is, because it's just written in our Constitution and stuff, middle school members. So is that a 6th grader? Is that an 8th grader? Who is that? So that's what I was working on. And then over Christmas, we kind of had a break, just like school. We kind of slowed down for a little bit. And then in January, we had our halftime conference. So this is our last conference that we put on, and this is kind of like our big one. It was all on us. We had less guidance, and we really built up our own workshops and stuff like that. And my group that I presented with, we did activities. So we had everyone brainstorm different activities and then share them with each other. And then the next day, they learned how to plan an activity. So who do you put in charge of this? Who do you put in charge of this? All the things that you're going to need. So we're basically giving them those tools so that they can put on these activities after they learn that they want to do them. And these are the 2 Heights students that came. Sam Martins and Brooks Lewis came to halftime conference. 2 people from each chapter can come. And then we had speaking contests. And there's 3 districts within Section 5, so we each had a district speaking contest, and then the top 2 from each competition. So we have prepared, extemporaneous, discussion meet, quiz bowl, parliamentary procedure, job interview, and creed. So there's 7 different competitions, and the top 2 from each district move on to sectionals, which we also hosted at Heights like 2 weeks ago now. We hosted it on the 9th. And then we had all of our sectional winners, and they will move on to state convention in the spring. And these are all of the Heights students that participated. Lindsay actually moved on to sectional competition, and she got 2nd in extemporaneous speaking. So she wrote a speech in about half an hour, and then she presented it, is what that one is. So she does really well with that, and she got 2nd. And she won't be moving on to state, but she did really well, and she's going to be really busy at state convention anyway. So in disguise, it was a little bit of a blessing, so she won't be so busy. And Now I'm in banquet season, so at the end of the year, just like sports, we have banquets for giving out awards and all the accomplishments that we've done this year. So I usually give a little spiel, a little speech on celebrating accomplishments and how we can continue to celebrate both the big ones and the small ones as we continue on. So I've been to Mount Horeb banquet and the Belleville banquet so far. So it's really cool to see the accomplishments of our members on their chapter level, because you don't necessarily get to see everyone at an event because like our advisors can't take everyone to somewhere. So it's kind of cool to see those other members that don't necessarily get to the state level activities. Just a little update on the FFA. National membership, we have about 610,000 FFA members, so over 500,000 FFA members. In Wisconsin, we have 19,190 members, and we were at a 30-year membership high last year, but rumor has it is we're going to be even higher this year, so we're continuing to grow our membership. We're the 8th largest state for FFA in the nation right now, so that's pretty impressive because we're not that big of a state, but like California and Texas, they have way more area and way more schools, but it's pretty impressive that we have so many FFA members in our state. We have 255 FFA chapters, and our newest one is Lakeside Lutheran, which is our first parochial school in Wisconsin to join. So we're starting to extend more into those schools that don't necessarily have a lot of student organizations. Yeah. Next. And just an update on agriculture education in general. We have something new that we're getting into. There's over 170 programs with over 200 courses that have been approved for ag/science equivalency. So like they can take a greenhouse class and it counts for their science credit. So it's something that we've been working with the science departments on to try and mesh more, because they really are learning about the plant science and everything in greenhouse, and you learn that in biology and whatnot anyway. So we're kind of combining things to make it easier for students to enjoy their classes and still get their science equivalencies they need to graduate. We're finding that people or students who take CTE courses or career and technical education courses are graduating at a higher rate. So if they take an agriculture, they're at about a 98.3 graduation rate, and students without any CTE are only at about an 88.2%. So we are really building and focusing on those skills to make them career ready and college ready, so that they know what they're doing when they jump into those industries and different courses that they're going into. And we're based on a 3-circle model is what they call it. So we have the in-class instruction, and then we have leadership and personal growth, so that's like the FFA side. And then finally we have experiential learning. So many of our students have an outside project, and often they either work for someone in the agriculture industry or they have their own business. So it's pretty impressive to see the different projects that people are building on their own to keep building and learning outside of the classroom. So basically, I wanted to say thank you to all of you, because in a way, you guys are the reason that I'm getting to do this, because you support our agriculture program and you keep it going strong. And that's the reason why I'm where I am today. And Ms. Hauser is awesome, and our students are doing really well in the organization. And I know with that, we have more students that want to run for state office and do what I'm doing now. So I just want to thank you so much for supporting me and give you a little update on what I'm doing. So does anyone have any questions? I know I went kind of fast, so.
Caitlin,
Yes.
what does FFA stand for?
What does FFA stand for? Technically, the acronym is still Future Farmers of America, but we do not use that anymore. We changed our name, I guess you could say, in 1988, and now we just refer to it as the National FFA Organization to encompass more of the agriculture industry.
I know the Heights runs in the spring,
Mhm.
Food for America.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that encompasses more of what your emphasis is now?
Yeah, definitely, because in food, like, basically the agriculture industry provides us with our food and our clothing and our materials for that. So in a way, either you're in production or you're in the processing or you're making that food. So in a way, yes, Food for America does kind of encompass more of what we are focusing on now as a whole. So yes.
Is your term a 1-year term, or?
Yes.
You-
Yes and no. We are elected for 1 year for sure, and then if you want to, you can run for president for the next year if you're young enough. So you have 3 years out of high school to either run for state office or get state office and run for president. So I am eligible to run for president, but I'm not sure if I'm going to or not. It's kind of like a, I don't know, another year commitment, and it's been one of the best things I've done. It's just nerve-wracking to think about running the team instead of just being a part of it and committing another year out of school, because I took the whole year off of school to do this, so it's another year out of school and stuff like that. So it's a bunch of different factors I've been trying to do. So, any more?
How many students do we have in Heights that are in the FFA right now?
I believe we're sitting around that like 60 to 70 range, and a few of those are from graduated classes. So you can be an FFA member up to 3 years out of high school. So some of those are still active, and we have people getting their American degrees to the highest level of degree you can earn in the FFA and stuff like that. So they do that once they're outside of school, but we have like 60 to 70 members right now.
So how does that compare to other schools like in our area?
In our area, like my section, this area, I would say we're about average or a little bit above average. A lot of my schools are really small, so during my chapter visits, I would have classes of like 3 to 5 people, and it's like, what? How do you do activities with that many people? But we're definitely at least average, if not a little bit bigger. But then also you have like Wanakee and Sun Prairie who are affiliated. So anyone who takes an agriculture class is an FFA member, and that's not. We don't have that at Heights right now, so you have to like pay your dues to be an FFA member rather than you're automatically an FFA member. So it definitely depends on the program, but I would say we're about average. So. Anything else? Thank you so much for having me. I won't take any more of your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Not a problem. Thank you.
All right, old item E1, discuss possible action on open enrollment alternative applications.
So they have fulfilled the requirements set forth by the state to do that.
Motion to accept the open enrollment applications. Joe. Discussion. Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Yep. Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah? Yes. And I'll vote yes as well. All right, discuss possible action to approve Mazomanie HVAC project. You guys are up.
Ready to go. Enjoyed the FFA presentation, I gotta tell you. I got to use my parliamentary procedure techniques that I learned in the FFA today, earlier in a meeting with the HSR Board of Directors and shareholders. So that brought back memories.
And you milk this morning?
Didn't milk this morning, I got out of that.
Oh, you got out of it.
But we have some good friends of ours whose grandfather his name was Louis Sassman, and he started the FFA in Wisconsin back in the early 1900s, so we're kind of real connected to the FFA. Jake's joined me tonight, and we're going to I'll let Jake start off with just giving you a little overview of what we've done for this building so far with the upgrades to the HVAC system in your building, and then once Jake gets done with that, we'll cover questions there. Then we'll go over the parking lot project at the middle school, high school, and kind of give you an update there, and schedule and all those kind of things. So, Jake.
All right, so for this building, what we do is we put in an energy analysis program to try to closely analyze this building. We take past utility bills and try to match what is currently here. So as you can probably tell, there's a lot of variables that go into that model, but I think we got it nailed down pretty good. So these numbers come from that program on these different items. So for our air-cooled condenser outside here, what we'd be doing is replacing it with a newer, more efficient model. And what we come out with is around $1,100 per year savings. With that, we'd be upgrading our refrigerant type. Right outside there is R22 refrigerant, which is no longer being manufactured. The new one would have R410A, which is pretty typical for new cooling units today. And then as far as more of our savings comes with the last two items. Variable frequency drives, adding those to the hot water system pumps that provide hot water throughout the building. Right now, those are running full bore all the time whenever we need heating. So what a variable frequency drive does is slow down those pumps. So you're saving a lot more energy when you're doing that. The same thing we'll be doing to the big air handling unit up on the roof here too. Same sort of idea there, slowing down that fan to only meet what we need. So you can see a lot of our savings comes from that. It's typically less than a 5-year payback on what you see with those types of variable frequency drives. And then the last item would be converting our pneumatic to EDC controls. So right now this whole building is pneumatically controlled, and you'd be taking out all that pieces of equipment. For instance, like your damper actuators, your thermostats, all that stuff, and replacing it with electric, kind of the same type of concept that you implemented at the high school, middle school. Although this would be a full conversion.
Jake, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Would all the dampers be then direct control?
Yep.
Okay.
All of them.
The one thing I didn't mention in our meeting is that one of our dampers was stuck for 2 months. Well, no, it was stuck open, and so we were dealing with a situation. So I didn't share it in the committee meeting, but one of the other benefits of this, and they kind of alluded to it, but we kind of lived it, is it's hard to diagnose. You know we were spending more in natural gas for a couple months. We asked why. It took the better part, 1 month to find out that it was happening, and another month to figure out what was happening. And so that's one of the other benefits.
Yeah, so you can trend, you do trending with a system like that. You can see if there's spikes, you can maybe figure out if there's a problem, where it is. You can send alarms to a remote person or the building maintenance person here. So you can get rid of your air compressor down there, so you don't have to deal with maintenance and upkeep on that. So as far as that, does anybody have any questions as far as that concerned?
So how do the rooms, each individual room, how is the temperature
So
set or changed or
So they would have
adjusted?
They would have pneumatic. They have pneumatic right now. They'd be replaced with electric, but you'd still be able to see that on your computer. So you would either have local adjustment that you could, and this is all set by your automation system, they call it. So you can either have that thermostat on the wall controlling the face temperature, or you could have it set on your automation system and say, I want this room to be 2 degrees warmer. You bump it up 2 degrees.
I'm saying, can you walk up and touch the thermostat?
Only
Can
2
a kid
degrees.
walk up and
You
touch
could,
it?
you could also lock it down, so you could set a range, say, you could lock it down, I don't want to go any higher than 74, or you set the high
But
and
anybody
low
could
limits.
have access to it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's just like a regular.
And you can
freaking-
also lock it down and say, I don't want anybody to have control over this. Those are all choices so you can make in there.
What ours does is usually you can you can adjust it with like 4 degrees.
Yeah.
And then once it warms up 4 degrees, it resets, it goes back down to normal temperature. So it doesn't stay all day.
Yep, you can set time limitations on that too. So.
And what we're projecting with all three of these things, we're looking at maybe a 20 to 25%, even up to 25% savings overall for this system here. Just to give you an idea of that. Okay.
And for those of you who don't know, our condenser is shot, so that's the component, no matter what, we have to replace that.
We said what, 150 to 160 is what that's gonna cost individually, right?
Yep,
Mhm.
yep, and then you'd add for sure the variable drives, and that's another 15 to 20, and then, yeah.
Okay. Any more questions on the HVAC portion? We'll jump into the middle school. Yep. Jim?
As Tom was saying that right now we do need the condenser unit.
Right. It is shot.
Okay.
100%.
I'm thinking of 2 or 3 years down the road if we decide to go with a one campus setting. Yeah, is there ways that, I mean, certain parts we need. I mean, to make this building sellable, you would need to have that working. Are there things on here that, even though they will directly contribute to the savings, would they be able, in a selling situation, would they be a positive if we needed to sell the building? I know
It'd be a good
it's
question,
just-
depends on the buyer.
Yeah, it's just a
Depends on the buyer.
question
Right.
that what do we need for Mazamani School to have air conditioning next August or September when the kids come into school? All right.
Right now, just the condenser.
And the variable.
Variable
drive.
drives.
Variable frequency drive. The thing is, we've talked about this many a times, going to one site. And, I mean, if we do what we had talked about months ago, you're looking at $15 million to redo the high school, middle school complex, to include its own elementary wing and replace the gyms and all of that stuff. I just, I don't see it personally happening for years and years and years to come, which is, it was my question as well in the committee meeting is, if we're gonna sell this place in 2 years, why would you put this kind of money into it? I don't see it going anywhere for many years unless we drop enrollment by 100 students between now and 2 years from now. Then you got plenty of room. So.
All right.
I mean, Tom even said, can you do 1 and 2 but not 3? We talked about it, and they said in order to get the most efficiency out of it, it's kind of doing all or nothing. Kind of.
What are the,
And if you
Well,
do
but most
stage,
efficiencies are, when you pile on. So.
yeah,
So-
yeah, what are the costs for 1, 2, and 3 there?
it's about 150 to 160 for the condenser, 15 to 20,000 depending on the variable frequency drives, and about 250.
240, 250.
240, 250 for the.
Now, part of this, also understand, part of the reason why this is together is to make this building run more efficient. The reality then is, and I know I mentioned the committee meeting, if you're considering not doing that, then we should be upgrading the middle school, high school to variable frequency drives. I mean, there's a concept in terms of affordability and what we can do and what we can't do, and that's the one thing lost, and it's more money, and that's the challenge, as I reminded the committee, is that when this was redone a few years back, we're in the position we are today because we waited for the next time, and now the next time has happened, and so it becomes more expensive every time, that we do that. Understanding that money is money and, I think what we're talking about is really important. But we'll be paying, an additional, let's say we revisit this in 5 years and say, let's put the VFD, well then, we're gonna be paying a mobilization cost a second time for the project. So, although the project may be less this year, if we kick certain components down, they'll never be any less. And in 2009, we weren't ready to go, and it was a big commitment and understood, and we, put a lot of, how should I put it, a lot of resources into the middle school, high school, and you've seen how that's happened. But, another concept of this is that if we're not interested in having the controls, then, one of the things I would suggest is we need to optimize what we're doing at the high school. Because that we waited, we weren't sure, we maxed out with the quality school construction bonds. But, if we're not sure about that, then I would suggest to the board, for efficiencies and cost savings, we need to look at the middle school, high school, and have that fully operational with the direct control there.
Would we be better off spending the money there instead of,
And that's kind of where I'm getting to, is I don't know if we can afford to do 3 at once.
Right.
So where I'm getting at is, perhaps, and I know that takes time and some engineering, and the designs don't happen like that, but, again, would you see, the reason why we saw greater savings from a dollars in your pocket, it's just a bigger building, use more resources. That's why when you look at some of the scales, the benefits, the return on investments they take longer because the scale of the building's smaller and the use is less. Because this building's more or less a 10-month building. And we use it occasionally, but it's a 10-month building. Middle school, high school, all the time. So, if that's a direction the board wants to go and say, okay, replace and upgrade, then I would also recommend that we look at shifting those resources to middle school, high school, where we can, really manage our systems a lot better. The attractiveness to the direct control, I mentioned one, but it's also this building, as all 3 of our buildings currently, we're heating unoccupied space. This shuts that down. This allows us, to say, if with the specials in the afternoon, we just turn off. Right now, those rooms are, we can do it, how should I put it, manually, but it's not the same as being programmed.
The BAS system allows you to schedule your zones, so you'd be able to shut down zones if they're not occupied. It's not saving your energy, not heating and cooling spaces that aren't occupied.
We really didn't even take that into account with our.
It does, I should say it's pretty loose on their schedules. We didn't hammer it down to say, I didn't go to Mark and ask for every class schedule on when it's gonna be occupied. It uses a pretty broad schedule to do that, so.
But Dale, it'd be accurate to 25% to a third of our classrooms are only used half a day?
I don't know if it's that high, but.
Yeah, well,
But
the
music
gym,
art-
well, first of all, the
mu-
gym
Music, art, gym would be the 3 that are just used in the morning,
and the cafeteria. The cafeteria could be turned down, so that could be,
after
so
lunch.
2 of our largest areas, in perspective,
Right.
would have, control. So, perspective, I guess that's why I look at the 25 to 30%, just because we had those 2 spaces and that's.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But square footage wise.
Right, it's not like we would say, we wouldn't set this room up to, well, we never have library between 9 and 9:40, we wouldn't be, that would be an option, but that would probably not be
No.
recommended.
Right.
We'd be spending too much time
Mhm.
heating it back up.
so Brent, you guys did the survey of all the schools. And I remember HVAC was on all 3 of them.
Right.
2 questions. First, if we were to say redirect some of the funds that we've got allocated for this school to the middle school, high school, would we do 1 and 2, the condenser and the VFDs at this school? Or do you not do the VFDs if you don't do the pneumatic the pneumatic control to direct. And then, in your guys' opinion, would it behoove us better to spend the money out at the high school, middle school as far as savings goes compared to doing it at one of the elementaries?
As far as your middle school, high school, I think you already grabbed a lot of the low-hanging fruit, I should say. A lot of your big air handling units, DAV boxes and stuff like that have already been done. So a lot of what's left over there wouldn't be a huge savings. I would say this building is probably a lot bigger fruit to handle here.
More
than-
return on
Yeah, than what you have left over there.
Middle school, high school is more of a management device.
Right. A lot of your big motors and stuff on there already have VFDs, so.
What do they have? So-
VFDs. Variable frequency drive. Does it say that in there?
The middle one.
Yep, yeah, it does.
I think what they're saying is the changes are more management in handling and your 1 or 2% return versus where we're talking.
Yeah, your
more
energy
here.
savings over there are pretty much,
Taken
they'll be
care
a
of.
lot, minimal over there than compared to here.
Yeah.
The other thing that was brought up was that what we have out here is, first of all, it's dead, but then the other thing is, it was installed, they said, in 1976. So if we just do one and put in a new condenser, we can't just put the condenser in and hook it up. We're gonna have to upgrade all the other stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah, that goes with the rest of your components in the building are that vintage
So
too.
there's gonna be an
so-
added cost right there.
Just to modify, correct.
Right. And the other reason why this is on the list, one, it failed, but as we talked about fund balance previously, and, you know, I think it's the hint in terms of the budget, you know, the, indirectly, districts are being asked to spend fund balance this year because people believe it's too big, you know, and this is an opportunity for us to decide what we're spending it on. And that has to be a conscious decision. It's not,
One of the things, if we look at the last section here, you said the estimated cost savings would be $5,000 a year. And the simple payback, 15 to 20 years. Wouldn't it be more like 40 to 50 years?
Yeah, I didn't have the cost breakdown with me. I think to go to pneumatic to DEC is less than the 240. I can get you those exact numbers, but we were just throwing around numbers before, so.
Because I'm thinking that that's definitely the highest price.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
And certainly it would be much more sellable if we knew that in 20 years, like some of the items at the high school, you know, they're going to pay off. And Mark, what, was it the boiler failure at the high school that got this whole thing going with regard to the heating and?
oh, it wasn't a boiler failure, boiler inefficiency.
Okay.
And it was just, you know, a boiler that was built for heat. You know, some people like to say in the industry it was built for a Navy ship. I mean, it's just that's what it was. And it, you know, gas was cheap at the time, so expenses were relative. But then being able to control it is another aspect of it. But efficiency was big. We were also running it all summer. We were running for 3 months as reheat. And with the new controls, then we used existing exterior ambient air as our reheat. And so, you know, there were just several components to it, but yeah, one, it was big, two, we were using it all the time, and then the new system gave us options that we didn't have to use a boiler for.
Is the Tracer Summit system, is that similar to the direct digital controls you're proposing?
No, they all have direct digital controls. That's a concept.
Yeah, so-
That's a piece of equipment. Train is just their operational software.
It does the same thing?
There's different management systems,
Yeah, there's
correct?
a
Yeah,
bunch of, Train is just a brand name.
Yeah.
think kind of like cars. You know, it
Yeah.
depends, you know,
Definitely.
depends what you want.
But that's doing what
Yep,
this, you would want this system to do here.
yep, yep,
Similar.
exactly.
Where are we at in Black Earth? I don't remember, I don't have the study in front of me. Where are we at with Black Earth as far as efficiencies go? You remember?
It's, the
Any
Black
years,
Earth,
areas?
Black Earth per square foot is a higher operational cost, but the difference between these two buildings is we've got a failure here and the other one's operational.
Right.
I mean, that's why Black Earth is on the side. They have the same general specs set up for us if we were interested, but,
The failure's driving this.
the failure is driving it. That was the, you know, as we talked about making decisions, that was a board resolution, you know,
Right.
explaining how we did the fund balance and everything in January, so. But operationally, you know, the one component, we can look at that in a little more depth, but we were also running Black Earth 12 months for many years. Now, we haven't as much, though we use it, if we use it for summer school, then it's year round. You know, the 1 year when we were doing some construction, we had at the middle school, high school. But obviously this year, we had hoped to do some construction last summer too. And this year wouldn't be an option at the middle school, high school, but that would also be another cost savings is not running, you know, only running one site during the summer.
There's a minimum, though, you'd have to run here to keep it dry.
To a degree, yes, there are more, how should I put it, more issues in the past at Black Earth, I believe, and maybe also here, but yeah, but see, that's what the programming allows us to do with the sensing, and again, I'm not trying to sell it, but that's, you know, here, it's easy to forget. People will turn it off, and then, you know, if you're not in the building, then it's what it is. That's where we had a lot of problem at the middle school, quite honestly, with tile and carpet.
Yeah, so we started having mold issues and
Mhm.
all that, so.
But we don't have, well, we have carpet here now.
Yeah.
We're a little, you know, so, yeah.
Okay. Just to update you on the parking lot at the middle school, high school. We are in the process of trying to corral a survey from a variety of places, the state, and then some companies that have done previous work here. And once we get that, then our hope is to come back here on the 13th of April and share some different possible layouts with you on the parking lot. And then also we'll have, by then, have information on the geotechnical soil borings that we're gonna hopefully do next week. And so we'll be able to, from that, engineer the systems that we're going to suggest get put into a set of construction documents for bidding. So a lot will happen over the next 3 weeks there. So we'll be back here, planning on being back here on the 13th of April to share those ideas with you on the layout of the parking lot.
Would you have any kind of estimates on cost for?
We will, at that
By the
point in time.
13th?
Yep,
Okay.
definitely, definitely. And then our goal is to, sometime between April 15th and the 30th of April, have a complete set of documents and specifications for both the HVAC project and the middle school and the parking lot project, ready to send out for bids. We'll have to advertise and all those kinds of things, of course, for you, and we'll handle all of that. And then perhaps receive bids sometime in the first couple weeks of May is our goal. And then get ready for construction to start when school's out. And that's kind of the plan. Okay?
Okay, can we go back to HVAC for just 1
Certainly.
second?
Yeah.
I just want to be clear on one thing. If we did, I'm labeling these 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Okay? If we did, we have to do 1, that's a given. But 2 and 3, would you tie 2 in with 1, or is 2 kind of more with 3?
2 is kind of more with 3.
Okay,
The cooling is kind of a separate deal. 2 kind of goes with 3 and the controls and all that.
okay,
So,
all right.
yep.
I like those simple answers.
Yeah, I do too. Well, and knowing which component goes with which, it also helps
Right.
us decide,
Yeah.
you know, because the most expensive is 3, you know, in the grand scheme of it, but yet you can't get 2 so much without 3, or it doesn't make sense to, so to tie, you know, when you look at it, it says, oh, if you just tie 1 and 2 together, you're at $200,000, not a problem, you know?
Right.
But 2 doesn't make sense to go with 1 unless you're tying on 3.
Right.
So, if that makes sense.
Mhm. It does. Okay?
And I guess just to go back to one, one is a direct replacement to what we have. In the previous, I'm not trying to bring it back, we do have another quote for something for greater capacity also, just as perspective. So that's the other option. But that also requires additional stacking because of the equipment. It's not, you know, like James said, there's gonna be some stuff that will have to be replaced just because the current stuff's old. The upgrade would also, and the payback, again, kind of along the same way, Tom, it's something that would pay back more over time, but if you wanna build for capacity or options, you know, also know that standing alone, that also exists, so it needs a stack, correct? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be about, you'd have a condensing unit out there, but you know, it would be converting the system to chilled water pretty much, allowing it to be expanded. If you ever had additions or added cooling to the gym or stuff like that.
But that's more expensive than the
It's- yeah,
package that we're
right.
doing
Oh,
now.
Yeah.
Agreed, yeah, I'm not saying,
Yeah,
but understand for expansion, if you're looking at an expansion option, again, I understand where we're at, I just wanted to bring it back for a second. That's it.
Chances are, if we've ever got to expand out here, things are going so well that I'm not gonna care. We'll expand.
Right.
Yeah.
you know, we guys gotta weigh, you know, we're talking about a full campus, moving out to one campus at some point. You know, how fast is that gonna happen? Do we wanna put this money into this building, like I said, and then turn around in 2 years, have to try to do it? That's just a matter of a judgment call on that. It really isn't.
Well, it is, and that's my biggest thing. It's not like, I know we have to replace this stuff, but my fear is that 2 years from now, you know, if we close this school,
Right.
here we sit with spending $200,000 extra that,
It goes the other way too, though, because if in 2 years we don't,
exactly.
you're gonna be paying more money to.
And that was what I said in the
Right.
committee meeting, is I don't see it happening right away.
Either
but-
we're gonna fix it or the next owner's gonna ask us to fix it.
We'll just sell it at.
But
the
sell it
price.
as is.
So we're not
It's a
gonna fix
different
it for.
price.
Yeah, you
It'll
don't
come
do
off-
that, you get in
It'll
trouble.
come off the cost. So,
Okay,
I
does
don't
anybody
think-
have any other questions?
Well, I don't
for
think
me?
the dollars of this thing should drive. Somehow we have to put this all together, and I don't think the dollars, cost dollars here should be put against, are we gonna build another building? Because, for one, our economy sure as heck isn't strong enough right now for us to go to the community and say,
Right.
hey.
We need
we're-
15 million.
Right,
Right.
and I don't see that happening, well, that's my own personal opinion, I don't see that happening in the next 2 years,
I don't,
4 years.
Right.
yeah.
5 years, but
In that case, that makes us
that makes,
more palatable.
yeah, we're better off to build a better school.
I think it all goes back to the original hiring of this company, was that we have to make these amounts, we have to make these fixes. And do we want to put them into a new building or into a new
Correct.
building? And
Well-
it wasn't easy then, it
Yeah.
won't be easy now.
And not only that, but our savings is coming from options 2 and 3.
Correct.
That's really where our big savings is coming from. I mean, option 1 is just we have to replace it. Just because it runs a little more efficient doesn't, I mean,
It's
that's
just
not
an
a,
extra
It's
bang.
not
that's
costing
not
us
a
anything
payback.
now.
Right.
Right.
That's where like an extra sweatshirt
Yeah.
or maybe, you know, tank tops in the summer or whatever. Just asking, you know.
I mean, I don't really foresee us, like you said, in 2 years. You know, now you're talking 4 years, and we got a building here that you know, we need to keep people comfortable, keep it working, you know. A lot of things can change. I'm almost leaning towards we just almost have to bite the bullet on it. But
do you think the April 13th figures will be solid enough for us to make a decision on the 13th?
that was, yeah, gonna be the next question.
Well, I think these numbers are pretty solid for this.
Pretty solid. We'll
I
update
think
them if we need to, but yeah.
Judging by the time frame that we talked about as well, because the condenser is 8 to 12 weeks out, and we're trying to get this done in this budget, in this year's budget, which is, you know, of course, everybody knows June 30th. So I think these numbers are pretty well set, right?
Yeah.
The one that we don't know about is the pavement,
Right. But we'll know more on
by the
13th.
next meeting, right?
Yeah.
That will most likely catch up.
So
Pretty much the condenser has to get done. We have to
Well,
give
both,
approval on that.
we wanna get both of these.
No, what I'm talking about, you know, if we, I don't know if people are still thinking on the option 2 and 3, as Tom calls it.
Right.
We can postpone that to the next meeting, but do the condenser so they can get the lead times.
Oh, no, we
I don't
talked
know,
about
that's
that.
a-
Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, you could do it all next week, next month, too. That's fine.
But to try to get drawings and stuff out to bid.
Yeah, it's gonna be a short time.
Yeah.
Well, the problem isn't so much their deadline as it is ours with having to have things to get
That's
in
right.
this year's budget.
Right.
It has to be, how did you put it, Mark, on-site and whatever,
On-site.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, my understanding is the condenser is the longest lead
Right.
time. The motors you can pick in a couple weeks,
Mhm.
and the controllers, I would imagine. It's not like
Fairly quickly on the
fairly
controls.
quickly on those.
Yeah, as far as bidding it out though, they'll wanna hold a package deal, so.
Oh, I got you, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're fairly confident in your numbers that you're providing to us.
We are, yeah, we're fairly confident. We'll revisit them one more time, I would suggest,
Mhm.
just to see how the industry and the bidding climate's been modifying over the last few months, couple months maybe, and how we see it as projecting out into April. And have maybe tweak the numbers a little bit, but they're not gonna change dramatically.
So let me just ask this as far as the time frame and what we need to approve tonight to make this happen by our June 30th deadline.
Okay.
If we were to approve buying the condenser tonight and have you design and get firm numbers on the other 2 sections and did that on the 13th,
Right.
is that
Is
doable
it?
to get everything in and keep our June 30th deadline?
Well, that would certainly help, but does it help the bidding process?
Yeah, if we have it out, if we're trying to get out for bid, and have everything come in for bids in mid-May.
Could we do a primary bid and then alt bid on the other two?
We could,
And just run it that way?
yeah.
And people are gonna, that may adjust the way people bid because they're only guaranteed one component. But that would allow them to start moving.
Mhm.
That would be the one option. So base bid of the
And you could,
HVAC and then
you could at
the
least see
alt bid.
prices of
Yep.
option 2 and 3 and decide at that point if you wanted to accept them or
Mhm.
Yeah, the alt bids wouldn't require us, but they just know that they're bidding for sure. But if there's comparables, and, you know, we just, in the bid process, you'd have to say, if we're buying one is for sure, and then
not.
we would compare, you just guaranteeing comparing apples to apples.
Mhm.
On the other 2.
Right.
That's a good way to do it.
The challenge, what we may not get is a discount by bundling. You're just gonna see a straight cost, unless we bundle one. and two.
Or we could do it where we have a base bid for number one, alternate bids for number two, and then have a third bid for the whole.
Well, that's what I'm
the whole
wondering.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that would
That's
be
what I-
good, because then you will get the discount if you
Correct.
bundle.
Yep,
Yes.
And,
Right.
yeah,
okay, we'll just set it up that way,
okay.
okay?
So then, do we need approval tonight for
Well,
anything?
that would give HSR the indication to go
Yeah,
ahead.
that would.
That would give them the go-ahead.
Yeah,
So I think that
to proceed. as we-
proceed as a primary base one, and then alt bid two, and then a total package.
Mhm,
Okay, okay,
that's
so,
good.
It's always easier to say.
yep, so Jeff, just so I can reiterate, Jeff is making a motion to bid out option one condenser,
Mhm.
and then option two is
Alternate,
alternate.
bid for two.
VFD,
Yeah, we'll figure out what we want to put with alternates and.
Mhm.
yeah.
And
all
then option
alternate.
three is total package, so everything that's on this sheet.
Sure,
Yeah.
good, makes good sense.
Because we know we have to do the condenser no matter
Yep.
what.
And then you'll have all the options in the world, and plus you'll get the best pricing
Well, and that's,
competitively.
just like Kim was just saying, you might get some better pricing just with the games that are played.
Yep.
May get screwed too, but.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well.
Terrific.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you on the 13th,
You got it.
okay?
Thank
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, personnel. We have a motion to accept the resignation of Diane Ralke as middle school 7th grade volleyball coach with thanks of service since 2014.
So moved.
Thank you. Discussion?
Thank you, Diane.
Yes.
Yep. She filled in a pinch.
Yep.
Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim? Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Athletics, discuss possible action to approve Scott Wood as volunteer coach for the 2015 girls softball season.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
You know this Scott Wood?
I've never heard of him before. Is he local?
I think I've seen him around.
Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim? Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Academics, discuss possible action to approve early graduation at the end of the first semester in January 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
We're just talking about one person.
Right, it is usually about one every 2 or 3 years that, you know, they're just ready, they're prepared. So in order for them to plan, you gotta approve it now.
Still coming back to the graduation?
Pardon me?
Still going through all the pomp and circumstances, or no?
They have that option.
Okay, making sure they have that. Thank you.
That's good that they.
The only thing they can participate in is then any extracurricular like sports after that time. But most of them are ready to
Cool.
go to MATC or something.
Right. That's good.
Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. All right, discuss possible action to approve the 2015-16 and 2016-17 school calendars.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
I just have it up
You
on the
wanna-
board in case people want.
Want to appreciate fellow board member, non-curriculum committee member Isaiah Crowe for attending the meeting and offering his insight into the calendar.
You're welcome.
So, Mark, didn't you say that this calendar also gives us a little more flexibility on snow days?
Correct, we're also adding some time at the high school,
Here's where it's
5 minutes. I've got it summarized for you. Adds about 35 hours, so that, how should I put it, the years, we no longer are bound by number of days at school, or the days that students need to be at school. By adding 5 minutes at the beginning of the day, and then reducing to 3 minutes between class periods, and then how we classify our high school lunch period, that gives us some additional flexibility of 35 instructional hours over the year. So what that means is a little more instruction for our students, but unless it was a Eastern US or Massachusetts like 2015, we wouldn't be making up time. So constructs, things that changed for new staff, 2 days of in-service. For all of our staff, support staff, all staff would be present for two days, 2 out of 4. And then we would account for open house. But so how did we do that? We reduced our half days, early release days, 6 half release days turned into 3 full in-service days. We also balanced it around federal holidays like Columbus Day. Finally getting that right instead of calling it Flag Day. But Columbus Day here. Let's see if this works. This year it doesn't work out around Martin Luther King Day, but we are kind of to have even quarters. This 21st will be the last day of second quarter, and then a work day, which has been traditional either that day or at the end of the year for certified staff, but then a full professional day on January 25th. We did bump up conferences 1 week, but again, creating a professional development day here. Friday off. We traditionally, or for the last 4 years, have been doing the fourth week of March for spring break. For balance, if that stayed up there, what was happening is we'd have 41 days without any breaks in April and May, so created a little bit of a break. And then the other change is that our last day of school is a full day, not a half day. And again, that half day was so that we would fulfill DPI requirements that no longer exist. So that's, in a nutshell, 15-16.
How does that 5 minutes affect the elementary?
Doesn't at all.
heading on?
None.
So the bus schedule? will
Correct.
be-
The buses leave at the elementaries at 7:30, so we have ample ahead before school time. Good question. I also ran this past teacher leadership last Thursday. They appreciated the time. We also are building in, it's not in the calendar, but our professional development days, each staff member is responsible for going to 8 hours of professional development. We're going to be setting up August 11th and 18th as optional days with the math and language arts adoption, reading, language arts, writing. So we're going to offer full days, so if staff want to get their professional development done, they can attend it. If they want to attend both days, we'll pay them as we have in the past for the second one. And then we would use the additional day for curriculum, then reinforce it here, and then come back and then just kind of hit the big initiatives. But the promise that we have is that the big days won't be just one thing, but it will be some instruction or, direct information receiving, and then some time to work with peers and the opportunity to create a product that day. And maybe that's a full cycle or a couple cycles in that day. 16, 17, this is a leap year, so everything gets bumped in 2016, so things just look a little bit different. Holidays get pushed just based on how they fall. We try not to have, or we never have a week shorter than 2 days. So that's where we went 3 here in December. But it's the same concept, but again, spring break rotates back here just for a break, as the name suggests, and then having a day off on that Friday, and then we're done with students on the 6th. Graduation continues to be the second Sunday in June.
Just out of curiosity, what would happen if you were to switch, I don't know if anybody would like it, December 22nd as a full day of school and add Monday, January 2nd as a day off?
Who knows?
I'm just throwing things out there, that's all.
Yeah.
It makes no difference to me if it stays this way. Right? I don't know if people would like that better for travel or not. Jim, you got an opinion? Well, the only reason I ask is because you were a teacher for so long, or Isaiah. I mean, what do you guys think as far as,
I'm an employee, man. I show up whenever I'm told.
What they can say.
I just do it.
Is that-
do I really want to know?
Yeah, this happened previously.
Yeah.
And because and this is how we should develop this contract. It's around football. Because that Sunday, January 1st, will be NFL. So all the bowl games will be on the 2nd, will be on that Monday.
Oh,
And it happened in the past, too. It's okay, as a teacher, we just watched the game in school.
nice. I don't, I guess I'm asking you guys, do you guys think that would make more sense to go 4 days that week of, and Asta, Dale, chip in, you know, you guys see it all the time too.
I mean, I could go either way, but frankly, now that you bring it up, I probably think I'm thinking from an attendance purpose,
Yes.
it's more likely that you will miss kids on the 2nd than you would on the 22nd. More likely that kids would not show up on the 2nd because there's stuff going on the 1st than there are people who would leave on the 22nd, because those kids would probably leave on the 23rd.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I guess you go either way.
But
I mean, I know a lot of
again,
people want
it's
to go to
not,
Christmas earlier too, so.
it's not huge, but,
Yeah,
you know.
it's something to be considered, it's just, you know, what do we want to decide?
Well, I don't know, I like the going on the side, or not going on the 2nd, because then it kind of gives you 2 4-day weeks, really. You can kind of ease into it and, or ease out of it and ease into it, so to speak, too.
Yeah, I'll agree, it's not ideal, it's just how it felt.
Yeah.
I think as far as teachers go, it was like, you tell us when to be there.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's the kids who they worry about.
Yeah, well, and I'm trying to think of parents as well, as to travel, you know.
They just work around what we said.
I know
Yeah, they do.
You're
Yeah.
right.
They just work
Part
around.
of the concept
Get an
here,
excuse.
for year-round employees, that becomes their vacation days. So that's kind of why the concept was there, because year-round employees have the 24th and 25th off. It doesn't matter, we can identify it, but that was the concept.
Okay.
Here, so then, you know, you just, I don't know. We'll just have to identify it. It's workable, but that's part of the reason, or the concept behind it. But all workable, all we need to do is just tell people, same deal.
Let's go with that
So off
As
on the
presented?
2nd.
As projected.
Or with changing the,
We're changing
with the change?
Yep.
Okay, so 22nd will become a school day, and the 2nd will become a day off in 16 and 17.
then. Is that just the opposite?
22nd on the 16th is a school day, and 2007 off on the 2nd. Or 2017.
2017,
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 2 calendars with the change as indicated?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Just, thanks to Mark and the committee, because these are very hard
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing 2 more years just because we're on a roll.
And if the only tweak at this level is just one day.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
You remember a few years ago when we had, I mean, it was a lot of work. Yeah.
We spend more time on this than
Yeah.
almost any other topics.
Yeah. All right, motion on the table is to approve the 15-16 and 16-17 amended calendar. Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Kim? Isaiah?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. All right, referendum presentation.
I'm just gonna check in, does anybody need to see?
Yeah.
Hank, you're the,
I'm pretty good, I kinda know.
you're okay?
Through everything, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Derek, any questions?
I'm good.
Okay.
I know.
You guys have both seen it almost as much as we have.
Yeah, it'd probably be the 5th time I've seen it, I think.
Yeah,
so.
well, no, Aaron and I
Nothing
updated it,
changed.
so it was gonna be, I mean, not brand new.
It's okay.
We'll be on a different
Thank you.
smartboard.
In that case, maybe I need to.
It'll be on the website tomorrow. How about that?
Okay. All right, so, future meetings. First, do we need any committee meetings?
We'll have I'll contact you about policy
They figure out the wording for the.
coming. Yeah, we got it. We're getting close.
Okay. One thing that we do have to do is set a meeting regarding a student issue. It'll be an executive session meeting. My recommendation for people is, first of all, 2 dates. Set 2 dates to make sure that the parents are okay with, you know, instead of just one. My recommendation would be 4/6, which is a Monday, next Monday, or not next, no,
Following Monday, too.
following. It's an off night, it's not a board meeting night. And then my suggestion for the alternative date would be the Wednesday, 4/8. So 4/6 and 4/8 at, you know, like 7 o'clock.
So Monday,
As the 2
Wednesday.
dates, Monday or a Wednesday. Is everybody comfortable with those dates? Good? Okay. So, Mark, if you would,
I'll make a contact. We can talk.
yep. All right, other than that, of course, election is what day is it? The 7th.
April 7th, as well as referendum.
Yep. And which means we have one more paper before then? Two more. So I would urge your letter writing to be, if you're going to support the referendum, which we all have, get your letters to the editor in either this week, tomorrow by noon, right?
Yep, that'll be fine.
Or get them in anytime this week for publication in next week's paper. And those go to your,
Yep, they go to me.
okay. All right. If anybody doesn't have her email, tonight would be a prime opportunity to get it.
Very easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
NSA.
NSA@newspubinc.com. Get to change the name.
Yeah, that's more of a local, yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to state statute 19.85, parent 1, parent G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, And when executive session ends, the school board meeting is adjourned.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions? Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thank you all.
Back to my